We chose this topic because we're experiencing an era of unprecedented stress, anxiety and uncertainty of a nature and scale that we've just never seen before. We are facing multiple new large-scale threats to health, safety and security, to our social, economic and political systems and to our natural environment. On every level, this is a crisis of relationships or broken connections to each other, to the natural world, and with our own sense of self and purpose. So as we consider both the causes and the consequences, we can see that the human mind and mindsets are at the centre of this global reality as both driver and victim of our many problems. Our powerful collective narratives are grounded in exploitation, territorialism, overconsumption, and superficial short-term gratification with little regard for consequences. We are immersed in predatory narratives with ulterior motives for power or profit, aimed at polarising opinions through anger or fear, or simply enticing us to consume more products to feel better about ourselves. Information overload and the frantic accelerating pace of life are eroding attention spans and adding to mental stress and fatigue, often with physical consequences. In a vicious spiral, our individual behaviours often contribute more to collective stress. Much like the legend of Narcissus, superficial self-obsession ultimately leads to self-destruction with neglect of deeper inner dimensions of self-awareness. Indeed, with modernity, there has been a documented rise in collective narcissism and declining empathy with damaging consequences at scale. We're seeing erosion of kindness, civility and compassion. This has contributed to community breakdown, isolation and despair. There is increasing disconnection from nature, eco-anxiety and solastalgia, that sense of loss and powerlessness with the destruction of our natural environment. But the goal here is not to dwell in negativity, but to look over the parapet for new possibilities. And for that, we need awareness of what we need to change and the inspiration to act. In an era of broken relationships on every level, solutions lie in pathways to reconnection. Everything is pointing to the need for more connected consciousness, aligning personal and planetary mindsets, for stronger relationships with ourselves, others, and the natural environment, because in doing so, we also restore our hope and purpose. We need quite literally to change the story and replace self-destructive narratives with more constructive ones. More connected consciousness gives power to more mutualistic attitudes and value systems as we seek to overcome the exploitative worldviews that have created our challenges in the first place. Because our complex threats are interrelated, we also depend on integrated solutions that can only be built through connectivity and meaningful relationships. Such efforts also build individual and community resilience with more empowered, shared narratives that also increase purpose and belonging. So in addition to addressing the many negative aspects of the physical, social and economic environment that undermine well-being, we must place greater emphasis on the positive assets that also promote conscious connection and relationship, including creativity, spirituality, mindfulness, nature connection, and efforts to promote social cohesion and resilience, recognizing that both personal and collective actions are needed in tandem and that each of us can make an important difference. Above all, we must strive to be wiser ancestors and promote hope for the generations to come. For the sake of our children, we need to expand the focus from merely technical solutions to give greater emphasis to our deeper human potential, to our inner dimensions as the real heart of change. This deeper consciousness and the relationship with the awe and wonder of life itself will improve physical and mental well-being and our sense of connection with all things. Our next 3 talks will provide additional perspectives to stimulate wider group discussion. First, we're delighted to have Wendy Smith from the NIH. She is Associate Director of the Behavioural and Social Science Research, and she will talk more about the scale, the causes and consequences of our mental health crisis. Then we will hear from Jeff Greason, Director of the Mindfulness, Stress and Health Lab at Rowan University in New Jersey. He will discuss the personal and collective benefits of positive mindsets. And finally, we will hear from Mona El-Shabini, Director of Narrative Medicine and Planetary Health at Cairo University in Egypt, who will discuss the importance of narratives for changing both personal and shared reality. Because we know that it is not enough to criticise the old stories that have shaped our reality, we must actively create new stories to take their place, or nothing can change. And on that note, I will end with the words of John Lennon. A dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is reality. Thank you. And now over to Wendy.